Back in action, back home. Orange and blue today. Cecil Lammy, Andrew Mason, with a very interesting conversation, Mace, about a very interesting player with an interesting background.
Interesting background in the connection to the Broncos' most prominent player right now. And interesting because Tez Johnson doesn't check a lot of the boxes the Broncos may look for, and particularly Sean Payton may look for when it comes to the type of wide receiver he wants. But he does have some attributes, and there is a deep and profound connection, of course, with Bo Nix. The two are brothers. The Nix family adopted Tez Johnson a few years ago. That's part of why Tez Johnson ended up eventually following Bo Nix to Oregon, and they played together, of course, in 2023. That's where you see that photo. And, you know, it would be a heck of a story if you had those two on the same team together, as tight as they are.
Yes, and I would say this, going into the week, I felt like, okay, Tez Johnson, late round guy, it's 156 pounds.
Yeah.
You're not going to take that guy. What, Tavon Austin was the last like really small guy to get drafted high, and that didn't work out well. Doesn't mean everybody's the same, but usually smaller prospects. Trenton Holiday, I saw Trenton Holiday at the Texas versus the Nation game in El Paso, and he was undrafted, and he was 5'5". He weighed a little bit more, but 156 was the number. So entering the week of the Senior Bowl, Mace, I was like, yeah, I mean, 7th round, throw a dart at him. Maybe that's moved up, though, because one of the most impressive players that we saw, always open, we were calling him 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
It was Tez Johnson during the week.
Always open, quickest guy on the field, terrific route runner. Constantly getting separation. That's the thing. That's why we said 7-Eleven, because you look and he'd have 2 or 3 yards on his man every time, basically. And you look at the height. You know, he's a small receiver, but there are plenty of 5'9" receivers. 156 pounds, the lightweight, small hands, small wingspan. And at one point I said, hey, not the same type of receiver, but there does come a point where you have to ditch the measurables and just say, okay, this guy is getting open. He's catching everything. He's got good instincts, reads coverage well, knows how to find gaps in the zone. And so I made the comp of Hunter Renfrow. Like Hunter Renfrow coming down to the Senior Bowl, same thing. The measurables just weren't there, but then you looked and he was catching everything in sight, and he turned out to be a pretty good player for a few years for the Raiders. So before injuries caught up with him, and so I sort of get the same type of vibe from Tez Johnson, that, you know, there are certain guys you have to forget about the numbers and just focus on the play.
Yeah.
And he's a football player.
Yeah, he's a playmaker, that's for sure. Top of my head, Renfrow was the 3rd or 5th. I can't remember, but he did go higher than I thought Tez Johnson would go. But after this week, I think we need to throw all that out the window, because teams were impressed as a guy who was always open, always making plays before and after the catch, Mace. And Renfrow was what, 3rd or 5th? Or what did I get there?
5th round, 2019, pick 149 overall.
Okay.
And I think when you look at Tez Johnson going into the week, I think we said, okay, 7th round flyer. I don't know if you can say that. I don't know if that's going to be the case anymore. I think he ends up sneaking his way into the 5th round. And the fact that he's got such quickness and speed to him and agility to him. I mean, why don't we throw the clip up, just the one where we both sort of said, hey, there's a little Dante Hall in him here. I'll throw it for you here. Little human joystick action, right?
Yeah. Yeah. A little duck and cover, duck and run, like a little bit of everything from Tez Johnson. Makes me wonder what I was saying, because you cut the audio.
Oh, I cut the audio because I didn't want our YouTube overlords to demonetize this, because there was music in the background.
Yes. Very good. Thank you.
Nothing that we said. It was all about, you know, those those AI overlords who hear music. Nope, demonetized.
You didn't pay for that. You didn't pay for that.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Look at you, man. Thank you for that, because then I would have been sad because our video would be demonetized. But like, yeah, man, that was just one of like a one-on-one play. Like, there's more there with Tez Johnson. Speaking of one-on-one, let's go ahead and play that next one too, Mace, to show people what Johnson was doing out there in one-on-ones. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Just easy.
Wait, could we talk over that? Hang on. Let me try some. Wrong clip. Hang on. Let's just try something here. Can you hear us? Can the people
for some
hear us?
reason our mics didn't self-mute. Usually they mute
because there's no sound.
Ah, wow.
Hey,
I think
we just figured out something here.
Okay, nice.
That when there's no sound, as is the case here, we can talk over a clip.
I know. The only thing that's missing is if we could drag the slider bar to back up the play. I just tried to do it. We can't do that. But we can't talk during the clips. That's for sure.
That's nice. I like it.
I like it a lot.
That actually changes some of what we can do here. Because I've spent part of the day going through some of the clips from the week, and we're going to obviously, when we talk about players, we talk about prospects, and we dive in over the next few months and do some shows focused on positions in the draft. The fact that we can just sit there and have a clip and call it back, I mean, that's, from the Shrine and Senior Bowl. Victory Lap says, Tez worth a risk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so. Here's the thing. When you get to day 3, you are usually drafting players that are incomplete jigsaw puzzles. They're missing some pieces, but they've got attributes. You're drafting potential. You're drafting high ceiling. You're drafting attributes. But for example, Jonathan Cooper is a great example of a player who fell into day 3. In his case, it was because of his medical, but his talent said no. The medical was the thing that was missing and why he was sitting there late. But you take a flyer and see if he's going to find out if he's going to be okay, because of course he had that heart procedure a little under a month after the Broncos drafted him. It's possible that could have been successful, but the doctors could have said, you know what, you can't play football anymore. That's just the roll of the dice that you take sometimes on day 3. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Broncos took a roll of the dice on Jake Butt back in the 5th round of 2017, coming off a knee injury. It didn't work out. With Tez Johnson, you'd be taking a roll of the dice on his speed, but him being undersized, you'll see if it works. A great dice roll from recent Bronco drafters, although not really that recent anymore because time flies. 2011, 4th round, Julius Thomas out of Portland State, converted basketball player to tight end. You were rolling the dice on his raw athleticism and seeing if the rest could come together, and turned out that it did, and he became successful for the Broncos eventually as you got to year 3 and 4 of that contract, and down and along the line impressed a young Terrence Ferguson growing up in Littleton watching his Broncos.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Ferguson, a player that we've got plenty of stuff, Mace. I do not envy you in the all the film that you have to go through and cut up, because we talked to a lot of people. A
lot of people, and we watched a lot of practice, and no rest for the weary. I'm heading over to the media availability over at the Pro Bowl games in Orlando on Saturday morning to catch up with the 3 Broncos that are over there. I guess selfishly, I wish Bo Nix had gone and Quinn Miners had gone. Both had the chance to. Bo Nix turned it down for a surgery. Quinn Miners turned it down just because he didn't want to be a replacement. My guess is Quinn Miners just felt like he had other things to do. The only problem is, and this is like me looking way over the horizon, let's say Quinn Miners continues doing really well in his career. Let's say Miners is part of a Super Bowl team or 2. And someday there's a discussion about Quinn Miners for the Hall of Fame. Well, there's going to be a Pro Bowl appearance that he's missing. And unfortunately, in the Hall of Fame debate, those things do come up. Even, maybe they won't come up as much because of this Pro Bowl games thing, but getting selected matters. I mean, that's why Russell Wilson, when the alternate baton passed to him, he's like, oh, yeah, sure, I'm going.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Of course, Russell's got to go.
Yeah, I don't have any interest in the Pro Bowl beyond talking to the Broncos who were there and not really talking about the Pro Bowl, talking about other things. Like, if I get him home with Pat Surtain, want to ask him about the comments that he had earlier this week to Westward about playing wide receiver, wanting to do that, wanting to be a two-way player.
Right. So we'll get all that from Mace over the weekend. Now, during media day afternoon, I think I was talking to Cody Lindenberg because we were on the hunt for Tez Johnson. You said he's going to be at a podium. So we're walking around, we're waiting. And you got to see and talk to Tez Johnson. I was talking to the Minnesota linebacker. So I missed it, Mace. So you're going to have to set up both these clips. We got to play for the people in what Tez had to say about, lots of things.
Well, I'm kind of focused on Bo Nix because, hey, if you're in Broncos country, you want to know anything about the quarterback that could illuminate, why he did well. But also curious as far as the relationship brother to brother between Tez Johnson and Bo Nix. And so I asked Tez, hey, what advice is Bo giving you right now as you go through this process?
Just be yourself. Just know when you're going to interviews and you be yourself, and just let them know you're the smartest guy out there, and let them know that that size doesn't matter. Let them know that you can play. Like, you can change a game. I've been doing it my whole life, so it's one of those things I took and ran with.
Size matters not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Friend Yoda would say.
And I like that. I like how he says you can change the game because he can, and he does. So can he do that at the pro level? Mace, I'm not going to doubt him, regardless of the size.
Can he change Sean Payton's perception of receivers? Like, as far as which ones can contribute and what attributes they must have. I think the conversations are going to be interesting. We know for a fact that when it was time to talk about drafting Troy Franklin last year, also out of Oregon, we know that Sean Payton talked with Alex Forsythe. Talk with him about Bo Nix, talk about Troy Franklin, talk with Bo Nix about Troy Franklin after drafting Bo on Thursday and drafting Troy on a Saturday. So we know that they're going to seek out information from the players if they, know something. So, Bo's the best resource on Tez Johnson. Now, that being said, might Bo be biased? Yes. But what if Bo, here's the thing. After that rookie season that Bo Nix just had, not just what he did in terms of the numbers, the production, but what he did as far as growing as a leader in that locker room. And by the end of the season, guys really kind of saying, hey, it's Bo's team.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's Bo's team.
Bo has hand right now. And the point being here, if I'm Sean Payton, if Bo says draft this guy, then Sean says, okay, this isn't just because he's your brother, right? And if, let's say Bo says something, coach, I would stake my reputation on it. He can play. He can help us. He can help us win games. If Bo says something like that, I think Bo has earned enough hand to where you say, okay, let's go get him. Mm-hmm. If he says the same thing about Terrence Ferguson, coach, I know this guy. We work well together. He can help us win. Go get him. I'm not saying it's the only factor, but it's a tie-breaking factor, right? Like if you're coming down to two tight ends and one of them is Terrence Ferguson, who of course played with Bo at Oregon, is from Littleton, etc. And Bo says, hey, I believe Terrence Ferguson, can really help us win. I think he can be a difference maker. If you've got ties on all other factors, and then this can swing it. And I think it's the same thing with Tez Johnson. You got a couple of guys that you're looking at, say you're getting into round 5 at wide receiver, a couple of guys on your radar. Tez is there, and Bo says something like that, then I say go get Tez. Trust your quarterback.
Well, and I would say this about Bo Nix. He's not the type of player, and we love Von Miller, but Von thought everybody was great. I think if let's say Bo, had some fun with the guys in college, but he didn't think it was the right fit,
I think he'd
I
say
don't think
so.
he'd say that. I don't
I
think
think
he'd be the guy that said, "Hey, it's my guy. We got to get my guy." Like, I think he'd just tell you the straight up truth.
Yeah, I think he'd be honest and say, okay, I'm not sure this guy really helps us.
Yeah.
But if he says something like that, in this case, I think you do. I think you do make the move. I also asked, I followed up with Tez, asking him, what has Bo told you about what's different about the NFL compared to, kind of what to expect going forward. And here's Tez talking about that.
You're a grown man. Everything you do is like on your own. So you got to be able to maintain that and know that and be smart. So definitely give me some life advices while he's there in the NFL. His rookie, I know his rookie year, like he wanted to be the best, and I honestly think he's the best quarterback in the nation. Other people might think otherwise, but look at him. He's the best quarterback in the nation. So definitely I'm going to listen to him whenever he gives me some advice.
I like his belief in this guy.
Yep.
I mean, is Bo Nix the best quarterback in the NFL? I mean, I think objectively, no, not yet. But I like the belief that he is.
I like that you said yet.
I'm pretty consistent on this. I've said when I talk about Bo Nix, it's the reaching his ceiling is the Matt Ryan, Derek Carr tier. There's nothing wrong with that. Matt Ryan was an MVP. And that's sort of my point here, that if Bo Nix reaches his ceiling, I think there's a year where he pushes for MVP honors. I'm just not sure that is something that happens year after year. But here's the other thing. If he's in that second tier, like Dak Prescott's a quarterback in the second tier, right? Matthew Stafford, I'd say most of his career was in that second tier. Maybe he's still in that. Maybe he's in that second tier right now. Maybe he was in, because do we count him among Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow? Is he in that group? No. But you go back to 2021 in the Super Bowl, Matthew Stafford walked away with the MVP, right?
Yep.
He walked away with a ring. He got it done. So Stafford is in that class of quarterback with whom, if you've got enough around him, you're going to succeed. He's a good quarterback, but with the right scheme and the right supporting cast, you can get great results that can allow you to accomplish everything of which you dream. That's where I think Bo Nix can get to, which is why this offseason is so important, because we're obviously in year 2 of the cost control window. He's already got a playoff appearance under his belt. He's already gotten that taste, that experience. But if you can find skill players and upgrade the skill around him, guys who can help right away, this team can go from 10 wins to 12 or 13. That range where I think you're talking about this team legitimately having a championship chance next year. I don't think I'm crazy talking about things in that way. Some people may think I am. I don't feel I am.
No, windows are made to be opened and as fast as you can. This league isn't about waiting around. You got to pay your dues. But next thing you know, if you keep saying that, you're Buffalo and you have 5 AFC East titles and no Super Bowl appearance to show for it. You can build it faster and you can get there faster. Speaking of get there faster, Mace, life comes at you fast. So I have to run. Unfortunately, I cut our show short today, but yeah, man, we'll be checking in with what you pick up from down at the Pro Bowl, and then we'll have a nice full Monday show for everybody as we get into off-season mode and we don't have to travel as much.
Well, I'll be on Radio Row, so I'll be right there.
Yes.
I'll be right there, surrounded by all the hubbub of New Orleans and the media center at the convention center down there, and talking to people throughout the week, getting their takes on all things Broncos and Bo Nix, and where people around the country think they stand. I'm always kind of curious to see what the national perception is. We're going to dive into that plenty next week.
Yep, that's coming up starting on Monday. But before we're out of here, Mace, how do folks help us out on YouTube?
Like,
comment,
share,
subscribe,
hit that notification bell
so that you
never
miss Vid. That was pretty good. Pretty good. He's Andrew Mason. You follow him on all the socials at Mace Denver. I'm at Cecil Lammy saying OBT's BFD. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Stay frosty.